The end of the decade is coming to a close, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't believe I'm even saying those words. Time flies when there's amazing films coming out, and this decade gave us some incredible movies that I would easily call some of my favorites of all time. Today we're going through some of this decade's best films. In order to keep this somewhat structured, I'm going to pick one movie from each individual year leading up to 2019. So with that said, let's start with 2010. The Social Network is a film that I would call perfect. Hell, all of the movies in this video are. It is a movie that I never thought would end up as one of my favorites. The story of Facebook is told in such an interesting way by jumping forwards and backwards in time, and the performances are incredible. This is almost my favorite David Fincher film, but not quite. More on that later. Check this one out if you're into biopics. Easily one of the best out there. Shame is probably my favorite Steve McQueen movie. This is a director who's mastered the art of screenwriting. He tells his stories in the way he sees fit, and Shame was yet another example of Steve McQueen's phenomenal screenwriting. I don't want to say a lot about this movie because I went into it blind, and I was glad I did. If you haven't seen this film, check it out as soon as possible, don't look anything up, and enjoy the best film of 2011. Steve McQueen is a god. One of two films on this list that ended up winning Best Picture at the Oscars. As the years go on, it seems like the Best Picture winning film at the Oscars gets a bad rap, but Argo, to me, gets better on rewatch. It has one of the most suspenseful final acts I've ever seen, and the directing might be Ben Affleck's best, which is saying a lot considering this man is a master behind the camera. It is an intriguing story that seems like it couldn't ever be possible. Then when you realize that it's based on a true story, you learn to appreciate this movie even more. Ben Affleck is one of my favorite directors working today, and Argo is one of the main reasons why I stand by that opinion. Inside Llewyn Davis is so underrated. It usually isn't most people's favorite Coen Brothers film. It usually isn't people's favorite film of the year. Hell, most people haven't even heard of it. But this is a beautiful and tragic story of a struggling musician who is trying everything to make his dream come true. It is engaging, the music is phenomenal, and Oscar Isaac might be delivering the greatest performance of his career. Definitely a film to watch if you never got around to it. It's my personal favorite Coen Brothers film and my favorite film of 2013. This is my favorite David Fincher film. Every single time I watch this movie, I still get sucked into the story even though I already know the twists in the film. This is a true testament to David Fincher's directing and Gillian Flynn's screenwriting, because the storytelling and progression in this movie is damn near perfect. Everyone in the film brings their A game, whether it's David Fincher directing, Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike's acting, or Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor's great score. Gone Girl is a movie with perfect execution from the entire cast and crew. Had you told me in early 2015 that I'd be putting Steve Jobs ahead of Mad Max Fury Road and Creed on my best of 2015 list, I would say you were out of your damn mind. And yet, here we are. This is my favorite Danny Boyle film. Michael Fassbender's acting is one of the best performances of the decade, and the screenwriting by Aaron Sorkin is as quick and punchy as you'd come to expect. The structure of the screenplay was a neat choice and had me invested through the entire runtime. When I saw the promotional material for Steve Jobs, I thought I'd end up watching it, liking it, and moving on. But damn was I wrong, because this movie blew me away. This decade had some amazing biopics, and Steve Jobs is yet another example of one of the best out there. Alongside The Social Network, of course. A war movie where the protagonist is actually developed. In recent years, it seems like war movies have favored the spectacle rather than developing the characters in the story. Nothing wrong with that, but I prefer being invested in the characters than the visual aspect of the movie. Saving Private Ryan is one of my favorite war films because the characters are so well developed. Hacksaw Ridge, in my opinion, is the modern day Saving Private Ryan, as it has a fantastic character in Desmond Doss played incredibly by Andrew Garfield, and has the hell-infused war scenes that are directed masterfully by Mel Gibson. This is a film that lets you get to see the good in humanity and the nightmare of war. This was a hard year to pick just one movie. I ended up having to choose between Get Out, Phantom Thread, and War for the Planet of the Apes. I ended up narrowing it down to Get Out and War for the Planet of the Apes, since Phantom Thread, while fantastic, it isn't my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film, and I think the other two movies listed were just slightly better. But choosing between War for the Planet of the Apes and Get Out, Damn, I wish I could just cheat and pick both, but if I had to pick one, I'd choose War for the Planet of the Apes, just barely. I'm sorry, Jordan Peele, your movie is still a masterpiece. War for the Planet of the Apes is the rare movie where the third entry in the series is the best. It closes out the story of Caesar, one of the greatest characters ever put to film, and he's a talking ape. Fantastic. It's riveting, emotional, gripping, and other adjectives that I can't name off the top of my head. Andy Serkis and Woody Harrelson are fantastic, and Matt Reeves, god damn. War for the Planet of the Apes is proof that blockbusters don't have to be just popcorn flicks. This film is perfection. Green Book is the other Best Picture winning film on this list, and it's going to be my most controversial pick, that's for sure, but that's alright with me. This movie isn't flashy, it isn't trying to be anything more than it is, it's a heartfelt story with amazing performances by Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. There were moments in this film where I felt myself tearing up a bit. No other movie on this list hit me as hard emotionally as Green Book did. My favorite movies are the ones that just tell a beautiful story and don't try so hard to wow me, and this film is a perfect example of that. I have no shame in saying I love this film, even though a lot of people would disagree with me. If you haven't seen it due to the backlash, check this one out because this film is incredible and my personal favorite of 2018. As of the making of this video, Joker is my favorite film of the year, and truthfully, I don't think anything else will surpass it for me, because Joker absolutely floored me. When the movie ended, my jaw was on the floor, because I didn't think we'd ever get a comic book movie this good since the whole cinematic universe trend happened. Yet here we are, witnessing a comic book film that is just as good as Spider-Man 2 and The Dark Knight. I don't think I need to say anything else about Joaquin Phoenix's performance because I and everyone else have said it all. Joker showed us that Todd Phillips is a genius when it comes to directing and screenwriting, and I'm so glad he was able to tell the story he wanted to because it definitely paid off. Joker has some of my favorite scenes of the decade and will go down in history as one of the greatest films of all time. What a decade it's been. These are all perfect films and I wish I could have included some more, but I had to keep this video kinda structured, right? I've said it plenty times throughout this video, but if you didn't see any of the films mentioned, add them all to your watch list. You will not regret watching any of them. Now that I've talked my head off, comment down below your favorite movies of each year of the decade. We're all going to have different lists, there's no doubt about that. I want to read them all and have a discussion with you guys. Link to my Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd are also down in the description below. Thank you all for watching, thank you all again for 100 subs, and I'll see you all next week.